Hello everybody, GZTV back with another video, and in this video we will be talking about The Walking Dead, let's see here, Season 3, Episode 4, Killer Within, one of the most pivotal episodes of the entire series. A lot of things happen, a lot of bad things happen, and yeah, it's just a crazy episode through and through, and now we have separate storylines. Which is great. We have one group working from the prison. We have the whole group, and then we have like Michonne, Andrea, the governor, all the people of Woodbury. So yeah, let's start with the beginning sequence. Outside the prison, an unidentified individual lures a group of walkers towards the prison, breaking open the front gate's lock to allow them inside. So we didn't ever really figure out who did this, but watching this at the beginning, it kind of foreshadowed that something bad was going to happen to these people, given that all of these prisoners were getting lured into the prison. So that's not good. Now let's talk about Woodbury first, because it's the less emphasized on storyline out of the entire episode here. Sorry about that. Michonne is suspicious of how the governor recovered supplies from a nearby National Guard camp, but he refuses to discuss it, only giving her little details. Obviously, we know that he killed everyone on the National Guard to get their supplies and bring it back. And instead, though, he lied to the group, to the community. He was like, they all turned into zombies. We had to kill some, and then we took their stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty good excuse, I guess. She expresses her concerns with Andrea and believes they should leave and head for the coast. Not trusting these people, and she has really good reason, because when we saw the end of the last episode, he had these heads in like fish bowls and stuff, and one of them was Levy, or Leaves, whatever his name was, the National Guard guy that was actually still alive. He literally got decapitated. Yeah. Andrea would rather stay and provides information on the Green Farm instead to allow Merle to look for his brother Daryl, and she kind of wants to help Merle because she never really hated Merle when he was in the group. Rick was kind of the one that almost cost him his life because he was kind of new to this group and he did not like the way this guy was treating everyone, and he was the only one that was willing to step up for guys like T-Dog, which, by the way, bad things happen to T-Dog in this episode, and by bad things you should know what I'm talking about. The governor tells Merle he will allow the search once Merle obtains more concrete information. He's like, look, man, you have to get evidence that he's actually out there alive. You gotta find traces, or else we're just sending you on a suicide mission given our circumstances right now. Andrea begins to become romantically involved with the governor, and we're definitely hinted at this throughout the episode, and that's kind of where we end the Woodbury storyline. Kind of a farewell from the governor to Andrea, but they're like really connected to each other, and the governor's like, if you need anything, come back here. And Michonne should honestly trust these people now, given that she is with Andrea and the governor is like taking very much fondness of Andrea. But going to the prison, because that's where all the bad shit happens. Rick Grimes discusses with the others about making the prison their permanent home, because they've had this nomadic lifestyle for so long now that they are kind of over it, and they're kind of ready to just settle in and relax and take a couple of days off here and there. And so yeah, I mean, it seems like a good idea at first. The two remaining prisoners, Axel and Oscar, request to join the group, but Rick, still distrustful, informs them of his intent to send them away at the end of the week. They're like, look, we can't have you guys looming over us because we don't know what your guys' intentions are. I trust Axel and Oscar, to be honest. I feel like they're really naive. I think they went to prison for very petty charges, really. If I had to guess, it just gives off that of their character. But I don't know. I guess Rick just does not trust a prisoner, period. And they tried to explain themselves, but to no avail. The group gathers as Herschel Green takes his first steps after the amputation of his foot. So Herschel is alive and well. We've kind of known that for a couple episodes, but still just confirmation that he can walk around and still be a part of the group. Suddenly, walkers swarm the courtyard, scattering the group. This is very bad, but also good for the storyline because we get very suspenseful moments. All the squadrons are separated, and it kind of introduces this interesting aspect. But anyways, T-Dog, having been bitten when shutting the gate, races after Carol and sacrifices himself by barreling into a walker horde to let her escape. Now, we don't know what happened to Carol, and that's kind of up in the air until the next episode, which I will watch tomorrow night. By the way, tonight I'm going to watch a movie for the channel, so that is going to be absolutely fantastic, and I will be reviewing it tomorrow. Yeah, it really sucks that T-Dog had to go. He was such an innocent guy. He was such a likable character, and like, he really wanted to be a leader of this group, I feel like, but he knew that Rick was the only guy for the job. Rick, Glenn, and Daryl, that's another group, find the gate's lock broken and re-secure it to prevent further walkers from entering. So now they just have to fend off the walkers that are there. Rick accuses Axel and Oscar of the treachery, which is kind of fucking blasphemous given their living conditions and what they're actually able to do. I mean, I don't know how these prisoners are even willing and even able physically to do something like that. I don't know. It's a really weird thing to put on these guys. An alarm begins sounding due to activation of a backup generator, potentially drawing more walkers, obviously because of the sound. They're probably going to be swarming the fences and probably going to break it down eventually. Rick realizes the prisoners cannot be at fault and lets them lead him to the generation room. Like, they know the whole layout of the prison. They can take him, and they've even worked in the prison, probably. There they find Andrew, whom Rick had left for dead as the instigator. Andrew, at the beginning of the episode, of all people, the guy that was thrown into the horde and surely dead, was the one that caused this. I don't know what the fuck this guy's problem is, but yeah, Andrew's about to kill Rick when Oscar shoots him and then turns the gun over to Rick. I don't know why you do that. That's not a good gesture to do towards a guy like Rick. They stop the generator and disable the alarm. So unnecessary. But yeah, Andrew gets killed once and for all. But anyway, elsewhere, Carl covers for his mother Lori and Maggie as they take shelter in a boiler room, kind of another squadron here. Lori has gone into labor but is bleeding profusely during her contractions, thus unable to give birth properly in the boiler room. They're going to have to do a C-section. Lori demands Maggie perform a lethal cesarean section, otherwise known as a C-section, to deliver the child, knowing it will kill her, but would rather die knowing her baby will live. Like, she's lived longer than the baby, of course, because the baby's still in infancy and still in the womb. So she wants her baby to live and spark some hope for the group. The baby is delivered safely, but Lori dies, of course. Carl takes a moment to mourn before shooting her in the head to prevent reanimation. Like, he doesn't want to see his mom as a walker, and he doesn't want his mom to have to go through that. So, very manly stuff there for Carl. He's really growing up. With the walkers dealt with, the group rejoins in the courtyard, though Carol is still missing, so obviously that raises some alarm. Rick sees Carl and Maggie emerging from a cell block with the baby, but realizes Lori is not with them and becomes hysterical, realizing that, hey, the childbirth did not go well for her, but the baby's there, so it's kind of sad. This was a very lauded episode. Killer Within offered the most emotionally upsetting development in the series to date. A lot of people thought the episode was The Walking Dead's most powerful installment since besides the dying fire, like when they were escaping the farm. Killer Within was the program's best episode to date for some. It's terrifically paced hour with an incredibly powerful ending. An incredibly tense and unrelenting episode, 9.5 out of 10 on IGN. Some people liked Lori and T-Dog's fate. I didn't think it was bad. The moment when Lori and Carl shared their goodbyes was the most heartbreaking event since the ending of this second season episode. Pretty much dead already. It was a grim departure for a character who endured long bouts of grief for reasons beyond her control. Lori's death especially was difficult to watch. T-Dog's death was really sudden and very shocking, despite the fact that he was never as prominent a figure on the program. Like, they had to get a way to get him out of there. As hard as these deaths were to watch, they also give the fans faith in the show that they can execute things. T-Dog died a hero's death. Lori's gut-churning demise was the more memorable, of course. So, Lori's demise was one of the biggest oh my god TV moments of 2012. One of the most noteworthy television moments. This segment was utterly surprising. The writers beguiled viewers by shedding light into Lori's crumbled relationship with Rick. Some people didn't like this episode, though. Although the latter half of the installment contained some of the show's most touching material, the methodology behind its narratives was all too apparent. I don't know. People are just really weird. The episode stumbled in how T-Dog and Lori were eliminated and how the Woodbury storyline repeated what was already known. This is just some critics going against it. A B-plus review for the AV Club. Killing T-Dog and Lori earned the show an immediate thrill, but it also meant crossing off two potential sources of drama. People who had a history on the series, however thin or poorly developed that history might have been. So I guess they're complaining that they're killing old characters and keeping new characters, maybe? But I mean, you have to kill characters that are older compared to new characters. They killed a lot of new characters already. I mean, the prisoners, the people at the farm that died, they were all new characters, like Green family characters, and Herschel just about died, right? The performances of the Walking Dead ensemble was a frequent topic in the critiques. Great kudos for Lincoln's performance. Obviously, the guy that played Rick. Lincoln's collapsing onto the ground was a suitably powerful and evocative gesture that epitomized the essence of the series. Callie's, Riggs, Cohan were great. Their performances were awesome. Callie's absolutely sold the portrayal of a mother saying goodbye to the son who had to grow up much too quickly. So yeah, that's kind of the sad nature, and the way she acted there was great. So I cannot wait for the next episode for kind of the aftermath of Lori and T-Dog dying. And what's going to happen to Andrea and Michonne? Yeah. It's kind of interesting how they closed the books on the guy that was luring walkers into prison, that storyline, so quickly. Maybe if they had it more suspenseful and they had Andrew come through like a little later in the series, I think that would have been good. But still, I think this was a very well executed episode. I don't really have anything bad to say about The Walking Dead, but that's all I have for today on the YouTube channel. Catch me tomorrow. We'll have a movie review and we will have a Better Call Saul review. So have a good rest of your guys' day.